You're 58 years old. Where do you take income from when you're ready to retire? Mistakes, penalties. Let's deal with it. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Nick Yeoman, certified financial planner and retirement coach. Today we're going to talk about how do you take income before 59 and a half to avoid the 10% penalty and to not feel bad about doing what many in the financial services industry would say, that's a no-no. We're going to talk about real life, practical application, what you can do to retire at 58 and be okay. So here's the deal. There is something called a 59 and a half rule. This is when, for most people under most scenarios, you have to wait until you're age 59 and a half before you have access to something like your IRA to avoid the 10% penalty. If we are retiring before 59 and a half, we need to come up with income somewhere. So we're going to talk about some ideas as to where that income comes from and how to avoid the 10% penalty. Here's the little known secret that, it's not really a secret, but here's a fact that maybe you need to know. One, if you have money in an employer-sponsored plan, like a 401k, many of those company plan document agreements allow for you to access that 401k prior to 59 and a half. Their rule is age 55 and a half, that you can access that 401k and avoid the 10% penalty. Many times you're working with maybe a well-meaning financial guru of some sort who says, hey, retire, roll that 401k over into an IRA, and goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life. And they'll collect a fee. There's nothing wrong with getting paid for advice, but here's the challenge. You just took something that potentially that client who retired early could have had access to without the 10% penalty, and you rolled it into something that they've got to wait till 59 and a half to access to avoid the penalty. I would say that's a mistake. We have to know the math, absolutely, but here's my encouragement to you. Always seek wise counsel, and there's nothing wrong with getting two opinions. Now, if we're really sinking in and trying to understand where mechanically might be the best place to take distributions from early retirement, so pre-59 and a half to 59 and a half to avoid the 10% penalty, I'd say number one by far is from taxable accounts. If you have a taxable account, also known as a non-qualified account, that is probably the best place you could take income from when you go to retire prior to 59 and a half. Now, everybody's situation is different, and again, seek wise counsel, but at the end of the day, I think that for many people, the challenge has been they have not accumulated enough money into a non-qualified account to really be meaningful when they go to retire. So if you are a few years out from retirement and you're thinking about what you could do to better prepare yourself to pull the trigger, and you know you're not waiting till 59 and a half, number one, consider leaving the money in your 401k until you're 59 and a half before you do a rollover. If the company plan document agreement allows for you to take penalty-free withdrawals at 55 and a half and older, then maybe that's a wise consideration. The second consideration is to start building up the non-qualified account assets. There's no penalties. We just have to be mindful around dividends, interest, and capital gains. Those can certainly be navigated around. But the other smart thing that I think a lot of people should consider is building up your cash. There's nothing wrong with having a year's worth of cash for that first year of retirement to allow for you to pivot if you need to pivot. Who knows what's going to happen in the stock market, the economy, etc. when you go to retire on that proverbial Friday. Like many people, when you go to early retirement, maybe you have started some small Roth conversions, maybe made some small 401k Roth contributions, but like many people, you have what I might consider a baby Roth. Right? It really hasn't grown very much. It's not meaningful enough to do something for you. You really need to continue to care for it, nurture it, protect it, guard it, guide it, help it grow. 6, 7. That's for the kids out there. But here's the thing. That money needs to continue to grow. We're not going to touch that pre-59 and a half. You know, when I think about a baby Roth, I think about my favorite food. Yes, I know that's weird. One of my favorite foods is basically anything out of a crock pot. Okay. You know, if I was to go and I was to get a chuck roast and I put it, you know, before I went to work, I put it in the crock pot, turn that thing on, and I let that thing cook. A couple hours later, I come home for lunch. Is it going to be ready? Heck no. It's going to be awful. Tough, chewy. Ugh. However, let's fast forward 6, 8, 9 hours later. How's it going to be? Probably pretty fantastic. Knowing myself, really fantastic. My wife, even more fantastic. We have to let it cook. We let the Roth IRAs cook. So if you're considering retiring early and you're wanting to know what to do to bridge that gap, let your Roth cook. Let it grow. Let it do its thing. Now, let's say you don't really have Roth as an option. Maybe you've already rolled over the 401k into the IRA and you don't have non-qualified assets. You're not alone. There's many, many people that find themselves in that circumstance, and you're at that point of now what? You're done with work. You're ready to pull the trigger. Be done. Okay. Well, there are a lot of tax rules that you can find at irs.gov, and but a lot of them pertain to retiree withdrawals and how they can take withdrawals in all these various different types of retirement accounts. Let's say you're in that place where you are definitely retiring before 59 and a half, but let's say you've already rolled over the 401k into the IRA. Okay, that's 59 and a half to avoid the 10% penalty. But let's say you didn't build up any non-qualified account assets or cash assets that you could access prior to 59 and a half. Like, that's just not your story. First of all, you're not alone. There's a lot of people in your situation. There are things that you can do to continue to avoid that 10% penalty, and here's a few of them. Number one, the IRS gives us a lot of guidance, including tax code. One piece of tax code is called 72T. Again, this isn't advice. This is for education purposes only. Seek wise counsel. Talk to your CPA and your financial gurus, okay? 72T allows for 10 years of withdrawals or what's called substantial equal payments until you're 59 and a half. That's one way you could get money from retirement accounts and avoid the 10% penalty. The big takeaway there is seek wise counsel. Make sure you understand the rules, and that might be a great solution for you. Number two, some people look at where they might have some equity, including home equity line of credit. Would it make sense for 3 months or 4 months before you hit age 59 and a half to go ahead and maybe pull from there and pay that back? What's the cost? What's the trade-off? And maybe it would have been better for you to continue to work for 3 more months. The point is, there are options out there. The best thing you could do is be prepared before you get to that place. So if you haven't started planning, please start now. If you have questions, connect with us. Connect at yourretirementcoach.com. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to check out our other channel, Coffee with Your Retirement Coach, or the other episodes here on this page. Like and subscribe. It helps us out, and we really appreciate it. Thanks for being here today. Hopefully you found this helpful. Stay coachable. Hi, I'm back. I almost forgot. Remember how I said my favorite food? Anything out of a crock pot? Leave in the comments below. What's your favorite crock pot recipe?